Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. Tonight we are making fish dumplings. It sounds exotic. It probably is. It is basically a casserole done in the oven with fish made into a dumpling. So this is what we need. I've been busy chopping and weighing and slicing and everything, and come on in and I'll show you all the ingredients we need. Alright, now before I start, oven on to 200 degrees, and you need a casserole dish that you can pop a lid on. If you don't have a casserole dish that you can pop a lid on, just something that you can cover with foil should be fine. Okay, so let me talk you through everything. We also need a food processor, so I've got mine out. Alright, 900 grams of skinned white fish. I have not processed that yet. 50 grams of chopped onion. I've got a little bit more than that, but it's in there. 1 egg. It's not cracked yet, but it's close enough to it. Half a cup of fresh white breadcrumbs. I don't have white bread. I've got wholemeal, but that's fine. I've got to whiz that up a bit more too. 1 tablespoon of chopped parsley, salt and pepper, 225 grams of peeled prawns. Rather than buy the big ones, I brought a tin. That's 200 grams, but that should be plenty enough. I'm just going to strain that before I use those as well. 1 cup of cooked peas. They are just quickly chilling in the microwave. They'll do. There they are. 1 cup of cooked peas. Half a cup of canned corn kernels. I have just used frozen ones because when I was in Aldi I couldn't find a tin of corn, so I just thought I'd use them from the freezer. It's the same thing practically. 25 grams of diced red capsicum. Now that isn't much red capsicum, but that's just enough to put a bit of colour in it. And 3 tablespoons of corn flour. That is what is going in the casserole. For the sauce, we've got half a cup of oil. I'm going to use olive oil. Another 50 grams of chopped onion. So I basically had half an onion in the freezer, so I've chopped it, divided it up. Half a litre of water, 1 chicken stock cube, 300 mils of orange juice, for which I have actually squeezed oranges. I think that was about 4.5 oranges if I remember right. And finally, a bouquet garni. What is a bouquet garni? It looks like a tea bag, but it's a tea bag for cooking food. So it's a flavour sachet with herbs in it, and do not know what herbs are in it because it doesn't want to tell me. It's no, oh, here we go. It is parsley, bay leaves, thyme, sage, and marjoram, all in a tea bag. Joy! Alright, so now that you know what's going on, let's get to it. Alright, first of all, heat the oven. We're going to mince the fish. So the easiest way to mince it is to use your food processor. I'm not going to weigh this, but this should be about 900 grams because that's what I asked for. So normally what I ask for is what I get. I'm just going to quickly wash it because I got it yesterday. So I'll be back. Okay, now with the fish, I got it from my butcher, and by the looks of it, I can't tell what, I was going to say what brand it is, what breed it is. It looks like one that I've used before, and that's a nice one as well. So I'm happy enough with that. It looks like it's got a bit of skin on it, but it'll be fine. I think I can feel a few little bones in there, but hopefully not. Don't like bones in fish. I just always have a horrible fear of it. Anyway, I'm going to pop these into the food processor. I've only got a small food processor. There's nothing wrong with having a small food processor. It just means that you've got to use less and then do it more often, and turn it on at the wall too. Okay, so the best way to make mince is obviously with a food processor, unless you've got a mincer, which I don't. I don't really plan on buying a mincer either. The amount of times that I would use it, you would be able to count on one hand or even one finger, I would say. Okay, that might be a bit too full, so I'm just going to take those out. Alright, we're best to get it to a certain level. Now what I'm going to do is get a bowl to put it all in once it's all minced. Because the food processor's old, I don't like to really rev the guts out of it. Don't really need it blowing up. I've got a spare one, but I don't really need to blow it up. So I'm just going to grab a bowl and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got a bowl. So when this part's minced, I can put it into there. Okay, so I'm happy enough with that. So I'm going to put that into the bowl. Whoops, didn't really want to put that in there. Now the good thing is that we're also putting an onion and breadcrumbs, parsley and the seasoning all in together. So therefore, with this last lot, I can add those breadcrumbs. Just going to put the prawns through the same one. It'll be fine. It's the same thing. See, they've just got to drain too. All right, so we can put the onion that we're putting into this one plus the breadcrumbs into the same batch, so we're only processing one lot. It's all going in the same thing anyway. Well, everything's going in. So that is what it looks like. It actually looks like mince, which is just as well because that's what we want. Okay, so onion goes in as well. That's one lot of the onion. So 50 grams of onion is not a lot. That's a bit more than 50 grams. Okay, and then we want breadcrumbs. Now, because I've chopped the parsley up well enough, I don't need to put that into there. But I probably might as well though. Might just get it a little bit more chopped up. So I'll just pop that in anyway. Why not? Join the party. Alright. Oh, the onion is strong. Alright. Happy enough with that. So let's bring our bowl closer. Come in a little bit closer here. I don't have a big kitchen, as you know. Or you don't. I don't know. You can assume I don't have a big kitchen. Alright. So happy enough with how that's turned out. Okay. Just got to save some for my boys. They'll be very upset if they don't get any fish. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a spoon now and just get all that out of the lid. Okay. Alright, now season that with the salt and pepper. Excellent. Leave that for the moment. Okay. Just clean my hands up a bit. Alright, just a crack of salt, crack of pepper. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring that casserole dish over, because we're actually going to make them into dumplings and sit them straight in the casserole dish. Alright, we don't want too much salt. Okay, so let's recap. The oven is preheated to 200. We've minced the fish with the onion and blend with the egg. Okay, we have not put the egg in yet. We've added the breadcrumbs, the parsley, and the seasoning. Now the seasoning is the salt and pepper. Okay, so the egg and the breadcrumbs are what is going to bind and hold this together. So grab a fork. Give it a quick stir and in she goes. Alright, now we want to, I suppose I can use this as a stirring spoon. Probably want a bigger spoon, but anyway. Okay, when everything's all mixed in and you're happy with it, basically you want to see green flecks over everything. That's how you know everything's mixed. Like so. Alright, wipe my hands. Okay, we're going to bring over our casserole dish now, but what we want to do is we want to give it a light spray so that nothing sticks. Okay. And as I always say, you'll thank me later for that tip, because when you go to wash it up, it will be a lot easier. Alright, turn the food processor off. We don't need that anymore. Okay, divide the mixture into small dumplings, about 50 grams each. We don't need to weigh them, just you'll sort of figure it out as you go. That looks about good, that size there. So they're actually really going to look more like a meatball. The fish actually binds pretty well together. Just so you know, in case you're wondering how is fish going to bind, this is actually really binding pretty good. So these fish dumplings are actually going to cook in the liquid that we're going to make up. Well, it's a sauce actually. But don't get too far ahead of yourself. Just do one thing at a time. So things like this, this is a bit of a time-consuming dish, but it's not a hard time-consuming dish, because we're basically just going around the outside, making a bit of a fancy fish meatball. If you want to impress someone for dinner, you can pull this one out of the air. It's a good winter dish, I would say. Now that obviously we're coming into winter, as you probably noticed in the start, I am wearing a scarf and a jumper. So it's not uncommon to be wearing a jumper and a scarf now. Beanies as well. I had gloves on earlier, it was so cold. Especially trying to get the washing done. Anyway, I've just found a bone. I don't want that bone in it. So that can go in the sink to go in the bin after. Alright, so just keep dumpling making. Just got to keep trying to push them in, because I don't really want to overlap them over the top of each other. I'd rather them be in a single layer. I don't think it makes much of a difference, but this is the first time I've made this, so I don't really know either. Alright, we're nearly done. It's looking pretty exotic actually. The thing that sort of intrigued me about it was that we're using quite a bit of orange juice, so definitely thinking orange juice, especially if you can take the time to squeeze your oranges. This is definitely going to be a good one for winter. You're going to get some extra vitamin C, which I'm definitely needing at the moment. Now they almost look like they're going to stick together, but I don't think they will though. As they cook, they will obviously shrink. Got room to just Squish one more. All right, perfect. It looks like a head of cauliflower. That was a very random thing to say, but that's what it looks like. All right, now that that's done, let's keep moving along. All right. So, up next, we are going to add the prawns. Put them over the top. Spread them over the top. What else was it? Peas. I don't know why you had to really cook them when they're going to be cooking in the oven for half an hour. But anyway, that's why I didn't bother to cook the corn. I thought it's going to cook. Over goes the corn. Look at this for a good colour combination. And then finally, the red cap. Try and spread it out a bit. Alright. So that is what it looks like. But we're not finished yet. We need to grab a saucepan to make the sauce. So I'm going to grab a saucepan and we're going to be right back. Okay, so I've got a saucepan. I've gone with the bigger one because there's quite a bit going in it. So first of all, we want 1/4 cup of oil. I haven't sprayed it this time, mainly because I think the 1/4 cup of oil should be enough. And we are putting a lot of liquid in it. So what we're going to do, heat this up, and we're going to cook the onion in this. Alright, so grab that other 50 grams of onion. Okay, that was frozen, so obviously it's not frozen anymore. It has been out of the freezer for a while. Oh, we have had a few cold days though. Alright. So, next up, once that's cooked for 3 minutes or until soft, we're going to add the water, the stock cube, the orange juice and the bouquet garni, and some more seasoning. So we're going to put more salt and pepper in it. So what I normally do at this stage when I've gone to the other side of the kitchen is I bring everything over. Bit crowded here, that's my lunch bag. So here we go, we're getting this warm. Alright, fry away. Okay. And we want to try and fry off that oil as well because we don't really want an oily sauce. Okay. So once we've got everything into here, including the bouquet garni, we're going to boil it for 10 minutes. So my best advice is to put the lid on your casserole so that your casserole is not going to get, obviously, well, it's not going to overheat in this weather. The corn flour we're using at the end. So there's no mention of corn flour until the end. Yep. Alright. So there'll be a bit of water on this as well because it was frozen, but not, it wouldn't be very frozen now, so it's all good. Okay, so a few minutes we're going to fry that for. And then we're going to get the rest of the stuff into it. Okay, once it starts to really bubble, you can back the temperature off. Okay, so probably can't really see that. It's bad light there. But anyway, alright, I'll be back in a second. Okay, now what I would recommend doing is start and crumble the stock cube over the top now, prior to adding everything. Now this is the last time I used a stock cube, it was a little bit hard to crumble up because it had been in the cupboard for a while. This is a brand new packet. Probably still be hard to crumble up. So just put this in first, and then that way your onion's going to get more chicken flavouring through it because it's not being lost in all the other stuff. If it doesn't crumble up too much, like this one's doing, it will obviously dissolve by the time we've got everything else ready. Alright, there you go, you're getting that nice seasoning in. Now speaking of seasoning, I did forget to bring the salt and pepper over. Alright, still a few lumps in there from that stock cube. I'm going to put the salt and pepper in now, just so that I don't forget to put them in. Probably don't really need a lot of salt. And I prefer more pepper than salt anyway. I don't know if you saw on the recipe sheet, but this is actually supposed... I didn't write it on the recipe sheet. It is supposed to serve 6 people, by the way. You didn't see it on the recipe sheet because it wasn't written on there. Alright, I'm happy with that, other than the lumps in the stock cube, but they will dissolve. Alright, in goes that half a litre of water. And in goes the 300 ml of orange juice. Finally, in goes our bouquet garni. Alright. So what we need to do now, we are going to boil for 10 minutes. So you want to get it up to a boil. So you can turn it back up again if you would like to. And this has got to boil for 10 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm going to put our casserole pot on a tray so that when it goes in the oven, we've got something to lift it out by. Alright, so 10 minutes on the timer once it comes to the boil, and I'll be back. Alright, now that it's boiling, pop your timer on for 10 minutes. Once it's really, really bubbling away, back the temperature off. Okay, and we'll be back in 10. Okay, I'm back. So, we've had 10 minutes. I've just been washing up, so I heard the buzzer and it's like, yay, let's go. So, take the lid off. Give this a stir. Now, it doesn't say to not leave the tea bag in, so I'm actually going to leave it in because it will flavour as it's cooking. Pour the sauce over the top. And then cover with a lid and cook for half an hour. It's alright, I was just making sure I wasn't doing anything wrong. Alright. Seems an awful lot of sauce, which is not good. I've got some left over. And all the onions at the bottom. Alright, what I'm going to do, because all the onions at the bottom and there's too much sauce, I'll keep this other sauce. I'm not going to throw it out. It just doesn't need to cook. So we're actually going to keep this saucepan. So what I'm going to do is put the onion over the top. And then we'll keep this for when we do the sauce at the end. So pop that aside. You might want to put a lid on that. So either that or you get yourself a bigger casserole pot. Now out of all the casserole pots that we have, this one's actually a pretty big one. So I'm not going to get a bigger casserole pot. I'm just going to use less juice. Alright. So that's the 150 mils of water that we're going to need soon to go with the corn flour. So that was not written down on the sheet either. I really need to read my recipe when I do my sheet. Okay, anyway, this is going in the oven for half an hour. After half an hour, we're going to get it out of the oven, and I will see you then. Okay, so whenever you cook with a casserole pot or anything with liquid, it is a really good idea to have a tray under it, so that way if it goes up and over, as in overflows, you're not going to have the biggest mess on the planet. Alright, so I'll see you soon. Okay, so the half an hour's up, the buzz is gone, it's out of the oven. Take your lid off carefully. We're not done yet. Look at that. It's looking pretty good. Alright, now what we need to do, be very careful with your lid because while it's hot it can crack. Bring over the saucepan that we've got the rest of that stock in that couldn't fit in. And what we're going to do, it's still a bit warm on the bottom and I don't want to put it on my top there, so I'm going to pop it there. Alright, so come on in so you can see what I'm going to do. So what I need to do now is I need to strain the juice back into here. So what we basically had in here is coming back into here. So you want your sieve. This one's perfect. It fits so perfectly on here. But this is one of those jobs that you just got to be very slow at. Alright. Basically, you don't really need to tip the whole lot in. Just like that. That's near enough is good enough. Alright. Those veggies there, pop back on top. Okay, so now we're taking this back over to the stove top. It's got a bit of thickness to it, which is good. So put that hot plate back on. Come on over. Alright, so we're bringing that back up to the boil. So we need our wooden spoon back. Okay, into that we are adding, we're boiling that for 5 minutes first. After 5 minutes, we're going to add the 3 tablespoons of corn flour mixed in with 150 mils of water, basically just to thicken it up and make it into a sauce. So all I'm doing is, you can't see what I'm doing because I'm nowhere near you. I've just got my 150 mils of water and 3 tablespoons of corn flour. I'm giving it a really good mix because that's a really thick paste there. Alright. So when the buzzer goes in 5 minutes, this is going into here. It's going to make a nice thick sauce, and then we're ready to dish it up. So this recipe here, it takes a lot of time, but it's an easy dish to do. It's a really nice one to share, so won't be long and we'll be ready to thicken it. Okay, so once the 5 minutes is up, grab that thickener. In it goes. Any that's left in there, just grab a bit of hot into it and just stir it. In it goes. Perfect. Alright, now we want to keep boiling it until it thickens. And then we're ready to dish it up. I've already put the dumplings on in the bowls. I'm serving this up in bowls. And the ones into the freezer containers. This is how they look. You can't really see that. Okay, I'll show you it better anyway. So it's basically serving it up like a bit of a soup. And yeah, so it should be good. It serves 6. So yeah, just thickening this. It's actually thick, which is good. That was what we was aiming for. Once it comes up to the boil, I'm going to switch it off. I'll get a ladle and I'll just basically ladle the sauce over the top. You can watch me doing that part. So, for a time-consuming sort of dish, it is actually pretty fancy looking. Won't take a photo of it until I've got the sauce on it though. Alright, now that we're bubbling, we're finished. So come on over and we're going to dish up. Alright. So that's what it looks like before the sauce. Grab a ladle. So you want about half a ladle full to start with, and then you go backwards and you put a bit more on. So yeah, it's a soup. You're basically having a soup with some fish dumplings in it. Alright, so thank you for watching Cooking with Violet Vixen. This has been fish dumplings, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'm going to go and enjoy mine now and watch MasterChef. Catch you next time. Bye!